It's the suburban stuff that I truly don't understand, and I feel like it's making America lazy because
or already has
because you spend so much time in your car, and that time could be used to, like, I don't know, do something productive with your life, learn a new skill, do something else. I grew up in New York City very differently, but I was talking to someone the other day, and she was telling me that she was gonna go visit a friend who, it's like north of here, and it's one of these like mega I actually want to go check it out just to see, because I was so curious about this. I've heard of these big developments, but not to this scale. She was saying they have 50 tennis courts, pickleball courts in the community. There's a Publix in the community. You never have to leave. Like, it's like a town. Yeah, you're creating a town, like a Rio Vista, essentially. But I want to go, like, check something like this out, like, just out of curiosity. I know I'm gonna, like, absolutely hate it. I'm just curious about it, and I'd want to talk to the people that, like, live there. Like, what draws you to something like this?
Even in
never have to leave.
Well, like Stockton's biggest developer.
Stockton's the hood. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
Where we first moved in Stockton was a master planned area, and it had apartments, it had big shopping centers, it had a ton of single family homes.
In the neighborhood?
Yeah. They built this whole section of town, and the Spanos is like the developer that did all of that, and obviously one of Stockton's biggest, like, most famous names. And so they, you know, that place where there's the Target and the Home Depot and all that stuff out next to I-5.
I don't know. I don't really spend a lot of time in Stockton.
I know.
I'm like an in and out of there type of gal.
Yeah, but so that area, there were apartments right across the street from the huge shopping center, and then on the other side of the freeway was all of these homes, and then inside of the circular streets, they put elementary school, and then on the edge of that, they put a high school, the Bear Creek High School. And so they had
built a school?
Yeah, so they put all these things. So it was like, if you start on one side, you've got the high school, and then you've got all these single-family homes, and then you get to the elementary school, then you have more single-family homes, and then you have a freeway, shopping center, and then apartments. And it's like this whole entire area was all built by the same development company, and obviously planned in coordination with the city.
That's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like, I remember first moving down to Florida, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I remember just being a teenager, and I wasn't, like, used to that, because, like, I grew up in New York, and then my parents are from, like, in Brazil, these things don't exist. They're now starting to exist. You have Alpha View, which is, like, really, like, really nice homes, and then now they have, I forget the name of it, but I found the other day, but they're just, it's not low income, but it's just like medium household, medium income household, like condos for like that, like not like Alpha View is like $1 million homes. But so I never grew up like with that. So like I would go to Brazil and we just always had just regular like cities. And then in New York, it was just always like regular like cities. Like I had been to Florida before. I was like in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, like visiting. And then when you go visit tour, or not even tour, like when you go visit other states here in the US or cities, you're going to bigger cities with things to do. So I had never really experienced that. And I remember like first moving down and we moved to Coral Springs. And I just remember being like, what in the, like I was a teenager when I had seen it like just like driving by, but in my head like I never really thought, oh, like people actually live here, people actually live like this. I couldn't wrap my head around the concept of like you need milk or something like that. I was just like wherever I was, whether it was in New York or in Brazil, you always just have your little market down the block, and if it's not in your, at least in your neighborhood, you just run over there and grab it. To wrap your head around the concept of having to get into a car and drive to go to a grocery store, and like sometimes it could even be like a 10-minute drive or something, to me, nuts.
Yeah, and you know from obviously our backgrounds are 100% opposite. And me being in a small town, you being in New York. And then when we were deciding where to live in Miami, like at first you said you wanted to live in Brickell because...
Oh yeah, Brickell's a nightmare. I regret that now.
But luckily I didn't want to do that because of where I had come from, small town, and then Orange County, California is not dense at all. And living in Orange, it was very walkable. Right?
Yeah,
You've been there with me
Orange
enough times.
is nice, yeah.
Orange is nice. But there's not like a grocery store downtown. You still have to drive to the grocery store.
Oh my God, that's so true. I've never thought about that.
It's just like you can walk to the coffee shops and the restaurants.
Yeah, which is better than...
It's better than not having
most
it, for sure.
cities in the U.S., I would say. But I remember driving around Coral Springs. I don't know if is this legal to say, but I was a teenager, but I was having like obviously just like a hard time with the move and just like adjusting to this lifestyle because you lose a lot of independence too. That's another thing. Like you go from like having access to everything, especially as a teenager, to in that period where it's like you don't drive yet. Like you're like 13, 14 years old, and then all of a sudden it's like you can't do shit. You're just stuck. But I remember I'd be driving with my parents and I'd be like seeing these plazas. I had never seen plazas to like this scale before, and I'd be like, we need to bomb this. We need to bomb all of this. I don't know if this is legal to say, but I used to literally say.
No, you're talking about something that you used to say. It's not an actual threat.
No, it was never a threat, but I just couldn't and it's just funny how things turned out now, like what I do now. And now I feel like I'm like on this mission to go fix America and their shitty towns.
So
food for thought here. 50%, so the majority of the American population lives in these suburban areas.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 34% live in cities and 16% in rural areas.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But
so let's run down the list of problems of why these suburbs don't work.
But really quickly, can I just get another point out? I think I understand rural living more than I do suburban living, which is crazy because like I get rural living because rural is you really just you want that life where you're just completely away from everyone. You're just relaxed all the time. Like you're probably like a little more like self-sufficient in the way of you probably grow a lot of like your foods or like you shop like a little like locally and stuff. Like it's the suburban stuff that I truly don't understand, and I feel like it's making America lazy because
already has
because you spend so much time in your car. And that time could be used to like, I don't know, do something productive with your life, learn a new skill, do something else. Like at least in rural areas, like I feel like they're being productive out there, like with their time. In suburban, it's like this idea of being out in the middle of like nowhere, and it's really not.
Well, and I think that it's also like when you're in a rural area, a lot of times you do have to drive a lot to get to different places and do different things. But you're not sitting in traffic, frustrated, and then getting home and being like upset with your family.
No, because
or,
I feel like
worn out from the drive. You actually enjoy the drive because you have time to yourself to think and just relax.
And I feel like they come home, they're actually having to be productive on their land. They have to mow and take care of everything and do this and do that. In suburbia, yeah, people do that, but a lot of times people just, I don't know, it's just different. And I feel like it's making America really freaking lazy because you just waste your time, like sitting in traffic to do everything or getting in your car to do everything.
So that's problem number one.
Yeah,
right?
It's making America lazy.
Right, and so that's like a huge issue.
Yeah.
And then I would say another thing, and this is something that's more on a technical side of things, but it's actually called externalities, right? And so these are issues that are consequences that you are putting on other people, like externally from whatever your primary thing is. And so one of the first things that you learn about externalities in school is about environmentalism. So a factory sets something up along a river and they start polluting, and they pollute the water, but it doesn't affect them because it's all running downstream, right? They're running their business, they're making their money. It doesn't matter to them because there's no consequence for them. The consequence is for everyone else. And with the suburban developments, and especially these mega developments that we're talking about, they're creating externalities and consequences that other people have to suffer, or that the society at large suffers from.
Because then you're just sitting in traffic.
Right, and so everybody's losing the productivity as a society because you're just stuck in traffic. When you think that
And
what you're
cars
buying,
are not good for the environment, duh, everybody knows that. I'm just kidding.
but you're buying into this housing development that's cheaper.
And uglier. Don't get me started. Sorry, that'll be point 3. Go on.
But it's cheaper for you because you're only paying like 200, 300,000 or whatever price your particular community is, and you think, oh, this is going to be such a great life. I've got a house and a backyard, and it's all brand new, and all my neighbors are like me, and they just want to have this lifestyle. But then they end up being stuck and complaining about their commute, and everybody else is having to deal with the commute and the traffic, and you have to build additional roads for all these people. And so like I-95 in Miami and South Florida in general is a perpetual mess because we just have so many people that we're like having to commute between these different places. So it's creating these vehicular issues. It's also creating environmental problems because they're having to take up more and more land to build all of these houses, right? I don't know. That's, to me, a huge point. What about the design?
And not to mention the fact that they're ugly because you just have all these track homes, like they all look alike. These things they're like, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if this is gonna offend anyone, but they're so ugly. There's no character to them. There's nothing, no real architecture to them. Like it's.
Well, because you could build those same things, and this is something that
it takes no skill. I'm sorry.
No, but it's something that we always talk about is whatever the character of the place is should be reflected in the architecture.
Yeah.
And these types of homes, like maybe they put a little bit of extra brick, like facade, onto it in a particular
fake
community.
brick here in Florida, because
Right.
can't have brick here.
But that's the thing is that they all are pretty much the same no matter where they are because it's a lot of times being done by a national home builder.
Yeah.
And so the way that the whole economic system is set up, you have a local broker, maybe a local land developer who puts together something like way outside of town and comes up with this whole idea, and they put together this package that then they sell off to a major national home developer, or even there are some regional developers that will do it, but it's mostly a national home developer that's just doing the same thing. Like they know that they're going to have a three bedroom, 2-bathroom house with a 2-car garage and
and terrible finishes.
75 feet of frontage, and so that's the game plan.
Yeah,
right?
and terrible finishes. The interior of these homes, again, I'm sorry to say, but they always look so terrible, so cheap. There's nothing, like there's just nothing to them. All of them look like these like luxury like apartments that you see everywhere, and it's
it's a gray LVT for the floor.
Yeah.
And a white quartz countertop.
Yeah, all of them, like the
Kohler,
popcorn ceilings.
if you're lucky.
Kohler, if you're lucky. Yeah,
Right. That's like high end.
Yeah, and they all look alike, and then people go in and they think that that's the funny part to me, is they go in and they think that they're like designing their home, and they like sit with these home builders, and then they just have a checklist of 3 countertops to pick for, and do you want? Sometimes they offer
A different pendant light.
or like for the ceiling,
A fan.
no,
Chandelier.
no, like the drop down. Oh my God, I'm blank. Like a coffered ceiling in some of them, but obviously that's going to add cost. So some people will have that like in their home, but that's
Or you've even talked about like people who are like, oh, I'm building my dream home.
yeah. And it's a home
they're
builder,
not-
and I'm like, you're
not
picking
building.
off a checklist. You mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like
What's even crazier is we're seeing some of the luxury townhouse or single family homes being the modern build, cheaper, basic, but they're still trying to sell for this high-end price. It tends to be similar to the brutalist style architecture from the outside. It's not timeless, and they're trying to do it at the high end now too. It's very upsetting.
So how far are we on time?
30 minutes of
Okay.
I could talk for another 5 hours.
Right. So what do we do about it?
We're developers, so we don't build that.
But just as a society, is there a better way?
Trash
And-
them. Trash the people living in these homes. Let them know. No, but I think talking, having discussions, like obviously that's always a good thing. There's this YouTuber, what's his name? He talks about roads.
Yeah, I don't know. I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but he, not just roads.
Not just bikes.
Not just bikes, yeah. And he gives a great example of Amsterdam being like the perfect city in terms of like walkability, density, and like all of that. And how once you hit, I think the age is like 5 or something like that, when you're living like in the suburbs and you hit 5, like how much of the independence like you're actually like taking from your kids, because then they have access to nothing. So I feel like if people like actually like, I think you have to just get the real information out to people. But I think that at this point people are just like so lazy, and they have bought into the convenience of it all, because I personally don't think that it's like convenient. So
But-
how do we change that? I don't know.